us. We'll spend about 15 minutes with Coach at the podium, and then we'll spend about 5 minutes each with our student athletes, getting things coordinated. Once again, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with so that our coach and student athletes can have a good conversation with you. As Coach makes his way to the podium, we'll get the spotlight on. Coach, your first question will come to your left. It will be in the third row. We'll get the microphone up, Bob, 1 second.
Good morning, Bob.
Still working on the microphone, Bob, 1 second.
So much has changed since Foxfire in 1989, wouldn't you agree? In 2020, you lost a lot of dynamic playmakers, and yet your offense last year was one of the best in the league in spite of the fact that you gave up 45 sacks, leading the league for the second consecutive year. Once again, you have Josh Downs back, but you've lost again some talented offensive players. What are your expectations for this offense?
The expectation for the offense is to be the best in the league. You want to be the best in the country. We've got to shore up sacks. We had too many tackles for loss. We've changed some things with our scheme that should help our offensive linemen. We lost 4 offensive linemen. We lost a tailback. We lost some great receivers. But we've got a very, very talented but inexperienced team coming back. So that starts at quarterback. We've got 2 quarterbacks, and Jacoby Criswell, who's been there 2.5 years. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Arkansas. We've got Drake May, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of North Carolina, that's been there for a year. Those guys have both played and practiced a lot. We started Sam Howell when he didn't have any experience the year before. So we're really, really excited about our offense, and we think we have a chance to be good. It's interesting that today is about hype. It's about hope for all of us. Real football starts for us in a week, and then by about mid-season, there's about 75% of the ones that are hyped today that aren't playing well. So we were one of those last year. We're very excited, understanding we have a lot of question marks, and we got a lot of things we have to get fixed. But that's what coaches do, and that's what players do. And the off-season's been good.
Coach, right up the center aisle to your right at the edge there.
Hey, Coach. Noah Monroe from the Daily Tar Heel. So a year ago, you were right in the same exact place talking about the expectations placed on y'all after turning a lot of the production and going to the Orange Bowl. And 5 months later, you were back in Charlotte, but not at the ACC Championship, at the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So what's it going to take this year for, in 5 months, to be not at the Duke's Mayo Bowl, but the ACC Championship instead?
Our guys have been talking about 3 things. They've been talking about passion, they've been talking about accountability, and they've been talking about toughness. If we had had more of those 3 things last year, those 3 ingredients with our team, we could have won at Pitt, where we were in overtime against the conference champ. We could have won at NC State when we had a 9-point lead with 2 minutes left in the game. So we've got to go back and make sure that we're addressing all the little things on and off the field that we need to do to play to a standard. We have done really well at Kenan Stadium. We haven't played well enough and won enough close games on the road. So we've got to do a better job with road games, and we've got to do a better job of finishing close games. And we feel like with the accountability of this team in the off season that we're in a much better position to do that right now than we were last year.
Keep your focus right there, Coach, the gentleman next to him. Work on that microphone.
They don't like you.
You talked about losing Sam, and aside from his on-the-field production, it was also a really big leader for you guys in the locker room. I guess early on, who have you kind of seen fill that void of leadership within the locker room, either on the field or off the field?
When you start looking at leadership, we've got 15 guys on the leadership committee that were chosen by their teammates. Here's 3 of them. You start looking at British Brooks. British is a young guy that got into school, earned a scholarship to be the special teams player that he's become, and then became special teams captain, and then last year really jumped out as a running back at the end of the year and took over the starting position at running back this spring. Josh Downs caught over 100 balls last year, arguably the best receiver in the country, in a year where we had the sacks and had some issues. So those two guys have stepped up on offense and in special teams as leaders. And then you've got Cedric Gray, who started last year, played over 900 plays from Charlotte, a guy that, like British, wasn't highly recruited, but now he's one of the best players on our team and best leaders on our team. So these guys and a bunch of other guys like them, we got some really good grad transfers, older guys. They're going to have to be the ones that help some of the talented young guys step up and play with confidence. And that's why these three are here today.
Coach, front row to your left, immediately in front of you.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. We know that here in the ACC, we have one more season of divisions before we switch to that 3-5-5 model. What can you say about this final year in divisions and what you think about that 3-5-5?
I'm a guy that believed in the divisions. I love having Coastal and Atlantic. I loved having a championship game with the two winners. I thought it was that way a lot of the time with the North and the South and the Big 12 when I was there. So I was disappointed that we changed it, but it also gives our team and our coaches some opportunities to play people that they wouldn't play as often, and maybe a chance for the ACC to match up better teams.
Sorry, Coach, to the right side, fourth row.
Hey, Coach, Ashiba Rojas from the Charlotte Post. So you talked about, Cedric becoming a leader on that defensive side. So what do you see from him from a football standpoint, and some other players emerging as leaders on the defensive side as well?
Yeah, Ced was a guy that played safety and wide receiver. He played in the slot, and we saw his aggressiveness, his passion, his love for playing the game, and his leadership. I didn't even realize this, but we're the only Power 5 offer he had. And here he is sitting up here today as one of the best players, not only in the ACC, but in the country. But to help him, we've got to play better up front. You've got a lot of guys up front now that have a couple of years' experience. They're very talented young guys, but they've got to get off blocks and make sure that we penetrate. And then our linebackers have to play more downhill and put us in a position where we can stop the run on first down. We haven't had enough turnovers. You usually don't force turnovers as readily unless it's second long, third and long, when you've got your quarterback in a bad position and the offensive coordinator's his game plan shrinks and he's trying to throw the ball on second long, third and long. Then you've got to get pass rush. And you need pass rush out of the front four so your linebackers can play in coverage. And I'm really excited about what Gene Chizik brings to our defense. Obviously won a national championship with us as a defensive coordinator at Texas. He won a national championship at Auburn. So the guy knows what he's doing. And he's done a tremendous job with the other coaches. He brought Charlton Warren in with him of teaching and developing our defense. We're doing a better job with fundamentals. We're doing a better job with tracking, playing with low pads, pursuit angles. So I really am excited about what I've seen out of our defense this spring, and our team's more competitive. They've really competed with each other. But you've got Noah Taylor that came in as a pass rusher from Virginia. You've got Des Evans is in his third year. You've got Jabari Ritzie, some young guys. KJ Binkley he's had 3 operations and he looks well now, and he's 316 pounds. You've got Keyshawn Silver. A lot of the younger guys now that hopefully we'll see more from in that front moving forward.
Coach, stay on the right side, that same general area.
How you doing, Coach?
Good.
Cortland Griffin with three-point conversion. Despite the 6-7 record last year and all of the losses, you guys got a lot of, like you said, talent coming in. You got Josh, Cedric, and British coming in and stepping into those leadership roles and those different positions. But it seems like this team is being criminally underrated. What are your feelings about that?
I love it because we were criminally overrated last year. So I tried to get us to be the 130th team with the expectation this year, but we're a little bit higher than that. What last year's team did really went unnoticed, the positive things they did. They beat Miami for a third time in a row. They beat Duke for a third time in a row. They beat a top 10 Wake Forest team. So there were a lot of great things we did. What we didn't do is we weren't consistent, and that's my fault. The team is, they take on the personality of the head coach, and if your team is playing inconsistently, that meant I coached them inconsistently. And I hate that. It just makes me sick when our team doesn't play with passion every week. And that's what I've seen these guys do every day of spring practice. So that's why I'm so much more excited about where we are. These guys will make their expectations, but really and truly, I was in your seat for 5 years. They had me picking the top 15 and the top 25, and I was usually wrong, because what happens before the season, after this press conference, when we're all picking who are the best teams, we don't know who's going to be hurt. We don't know who's going to step up. We don't know how many fumbles you're going to have. We don't know who's going to be a great player on defense. We don't know about your kicking game, and all those answers have to come from the field. And that's where I feel like that this is the best staff that we've had, maybe the best staff I've had in 33 years now, going on 34 years of coaching. And I really like their continuity, and I really like the way that they have taught these guys this spring, and I'm excited about the response from these guys back to them. I just like what I'm seeing.
Coach, your last question comes quickly to your left, third row.
Will you be ready to go when the season starts?
Questionable. Ross Martin, Inside Carolina. Coach, how is your day-to-day, week-to-week change with NIL? You're now a year into it. Can you kind of go into that?
Yeah. NIL is a wonderful thought, and it's a great thing because these guys work so hard. People can't imagine how hard they work. They're like Olympic athletes. They work every day. And there's risk with injury when you're playing. So a musician from the student body can make money playing at a bar or playing at a concert. An artist, he or she could make money selling their art. So why shouldn't our guys be able to make money selling their brand and their name, image, and likeness? It's teaching them how to be entrepreneurs and how to make money. It's teaching them how to give back, because a lot of them are giving back to charities. It's teaching them how to pay taxes, which I didn't learn for a long time. It's teaching them how to use agents for marketing purposes before they have to use an agent for the NFL. And they're making some money. Tylee Kraft, our young receiver who has cancer, he's been able to work through some of the cost of his mom not working while she's coming up here, because he sold some T-shirts and had a golf tournament. So there are so many positive things with name, image, and likeness. Where we missed it as a group is that we didn't have any guardrails. And then that starts affecting recruiting. And you don't want to ever get to a position where you can't keep recruiting competitive. And if teams just start paying young guys, they may make a poor decision because they took the money or the family took the money, but it might not be the right education for them. It might not be the school that they should attend, because that's where they're going to live when they get through, and they'll have better jobs to make a whole lot more money than they're being offered in some NIL deal in recruiting. And before, cheaters were cheating, but we could at least threaten them some with the NCAA. So to me, it's going to take the NCAA to step up and stop some of these people that are throwing around cash so readily before that'll slow down, number one. And secondly, then we've got to get a lot of smart people together, because this is a new world problem in our business, and it's a real problem. And we've got to figure out how to stop it, because I don't think some of this is healthy for the young people that are involved. Has it changed our life? Yes. We worry about them every day. We had a group called Booster come in the other day to start helping these guys make more money, everybody on our team. And coaches would like for everybody to make the money. I don't know how many people on our team are making money from NIL, because I'm not supposed to, and I don't know how much they make. That's just the way it's supposed to work. But I want our guys to be able to make as much money as anybody in the country, and I want those opportunities there for them. So I want our collective to be good. I want our boosters to step up and have that money in that collective. And whether we like it or not, we all know that the better you do, the more money you make, the better the players do. The more we win, the more people are willing to give to the collective. So we're all learning as we work through this process, but I think it's a great thing. We just need to get some guardrails.
Coach, thank you. You can switch places with British Brooks. We'll get our senior running back up for a couple of minutes. Questions for him. Once again, even though you may have introduced yourselves to the coach, if you'll do the same for our student athletes, that would be wonderful. Our first question is going to come, British, to your right, about 6 rows back.
How you doing, British? Cortland, Griffin with three-point conversion. North Carolina has had, in recent years, a run of running backs come through that backfield. Guys in the NFL, Ty Chandler just left last year, and now you're stepping into that lead running back role. What do you see yourself being in this offense that maybe the other guys didn't bring, or what did you take from those guys that you're going to now bring to this North Carolina backfield?
I just want to bring, leadership role to this young offense that we got. Young quarterbacks, young wide receiver room, and ultimately a young running back room. I got probably 2 years on most guys in that room. So I just want to be that leader, that mentor for the young guys. And I'm just happy for the opportunity to have that leadership role.
British to your left, 3rd row.
Hello. Bob Holliday, WRL.com. British North Carolina led the league in rushing last year, but more than 800 of those yards came from quarterback Sam Howell. With 2 new quarterbacks, would you expect the run game to be more running back centric this year?
There's no telling. There's really no telling. I would hope they would, just let the whole running back room just go crazy this year. But I'm trusting in our scheme, and whatever our coach calls, he calls, and I'm 100%.
British to your right, about mid-center there.
Katrina Sacco with Sports and Culture Media. Coach had spoken on the small things that needed fixing that ultimately lead up to greater events. For you, what are you working on, focusing on so that you can make those adjustments? He has spoken on, finishing up the close games. What are you working on particularly?
Just working on finishing. Exaggerating how we finish every drill, every play, every rep in the weight room. Just exaggerating on finishing. Finishing is the top priority right now.
British front row to your left, right in front there.
British, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Hailing from Gastonia, which isn't that far away here, just what it means to you to be in state and represent not only the Tar Heels, but to represent your hometown that's right around the corner.
It means a lot personally because I grew up a Tar Heel fan, and a lot of people around me grew up a Tar Heel fan. So when I go back home, it's rejoiceful for a lot of the times. You don't really see a whole bunch of State Duke fans where I'm from. It's always been Carolina my whole life. So just to represent North Carolina means the world to me right now.
British, thank you. You can switch places with Josh now, and we'll bring up our junior wide receiver for a few minutes of conversation. Josh, we'll start to your right, far right.
What's going on, Josh? Damian Parson from the Draft Network. You were one of the most productive receivers in the nation last year, ranked top 10 in receiving with over 100 receptions on the season. What's one of the biggest things that you have worked on coming into your junior year?
I would say being more versatile and being a leader. I'm playing more outside this season, not just in the slot, lining up in the backfield as well, and also just leading that wide receiver room with my fellow partner, Antoine Green. It's a young room. We have a lot of young talent, but they can make a difference. They're just young. So guiding them, leading them, showing them the ropes, helping them in different areas where they're not really familiar. That's the main thing I'm doing.
Josh, your next 2 questions will come from the same row to your right, about 5th one back.
How you doing, Josh? Cortland, Griffin with three-point conversion. We've seen multiple Biletnikoff winners come out the ACC. You're possibly top of the class when it comes to being able to win that award this year. Is that something that you're shooting for? Or are you just trying to be as productive as you can for this North Carolina offense?
Definitely just trying to be as productive as I can for the offense and just improve on last year. I'm not just striving to win a certain award here and there. I'm trying to do what I can for my team to help us win, whether that's catching balls, blocking, being a decoy, taking a double team and letting somebody else make the play. Anything to help my team win.
Same row, just slightly left.
Hey Josh, Noah Monroe from the Daily Tar Heels. So you're on a lot of awards watch lists like we just said and a lot of mock drafts. What's something you learned from Sam last year or even the team last year about keeping those accolades out of the way and letting your play speak for itself?
From Sam, Sam always kept a level head. If you know Sam Howell, he's always the same person every day. He's never up, he's never down. He always just keeps a level head. And then guys like Mike Carter, Javonte Williams, De'Ami Brown, they were all guys on those mock drafts too, and they went out there that last year and they balled out and they really put it on the table. So you can be on all the mock drafts, all the preseason watch lists, but if you don't do it in the next month, it doesn't matter. So I'm not really looking at that. I'm just looking forward to play.
Josh, right in front of you, left side, front row.
Josh, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You spoke on Sam Howell just now. What you can say about the quarterback battle right now and the relationships that you're building with both of them in preparation for the season and obviously with camp coming up?
Well, these two guys, they've just been getting ready for the position, Drake May and Jacoby Curso. I was sitting behind Daz Newsome 2 years ago, and nobody knew who I was, so I feel like it's a similar situation. I've known Jacoby since I came in here. We came in here together, so that's my dog, and I've known Drake for a while, too. So seeing both of those guys get better and being able to display their talent this year is going to be something great to see. I'm not really worried about the quarterback position, as a lot of people are, because I know we have talent there, so it's going to be good to watch.
Josh, a question from here at the podium. You scored a touchdown in 8 straight games last year, which makes me wonder, do you think about the end zone every time you touch the ball?
Of course. If you're not thinking about the end zone when you get the ball, then what else you think about? There's certain times when you got to get the first down, but every time I touch the ball, I want to get to the zone and get 6, so that's the main thing.
There are a lot of eyes on you heading into the season. Do you feel those eyes upon you? Do you read the chatter about you?
I see it here and there because, I do run my social media profiles and all that, so I see the articles, I see different watch lists, but I don't let it get to me like that. So I go out there every day and work, do what I can, because at the end of the day, if you put in the work, the results are going to come. So, yeah.
Last question for you, and we're going to put you on the spot. What would we be surprised to learn about you?
I like golf. I don't mind playing golf. I really want to get good at tennis, too. So those are 2 things that I feel like I could have as a good hobby.
Thank you very much. We can
Yes,
switch
sir.
places with Cedric if you like. Cedric Gray, a bit of a late addition here to the lineup, but happy to have him, the graduate student, the junior, the linebacker from North Carolina. Questions for Cedric as we start to close our timeout with North Carolina? Cedric, we will go 3rd row to your left.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Cedric, North Carolina last year, as you know, was down in the lower echelon in defensive statistics, 10th in defensive scoring, 10th in yards given up. You guys played in a lot of track meets where the offense had to outscore them. Much different outlook for this year. What has Coach Chiswick brought to stabilize the defense? And you have a lot of returning guys, a lot of depth. How good can this defense be?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Coach Chiswick is doing is really creating a standard amongst the defense, creating a culture amongst the defense and how we're going to play as a defensive team. We're all going to run to the ball, we're all going to tackle, and we're all going to execute what he tells us to do. And he's really just honing in on the little details and little adjustments and stuff like that. So I think it will be a big difference in our defense this year.
Cedric, to your left, 1st row.
Cedric, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You heard from Coach calling you one of the leaders on this team and just what you've stepped up to do. Looking at your journey to Carolina, how much have you grown, and what can you say in response to the fact that your head coach believes in the leadership that you bring?
I definitely had an interesting journey to Carolina. As Coach Mack Brown said, University of North Carolina was my only Power 5 offer. So even in high school, I kind of had like a chip on my shoulder. So coming in, I knew like I just had to work. and one day an opportunity would present itself, and luckily I got that opportunity last year. I think I've always been a leader. I'm a very outspoken person, so I just kind of carried that over, and as you can see, Coach believes in me, and so I'm ready to lead this team and lead the defense.
Cedric, to the right side, I believe, is where we are right now.
Hey Cedric, Evan Rogers, the Daily Tar Heel. During your time with UNC, you've seen linebackers Jeremiah Gemmel and Chad Surratt move on to the NFL. Kind of slotted to take that lead linebacker role over this year. What do those guys teach you, and how are you going to use what you've learned this season?
Yeah, definitely. So I came in freshman, Chad Surratt. It was his last season. I think one of the biggest things he helped me with was really just learning how to be a college athlete, learning how to be, just to play at this level, the difference between high school and college. And then my relationship with Jeremiah, we were definitely built a much more of a friendship together. Playing alongside him last year, I think me and him kind of got into the technicalities of football, the intellectual, the X's and O's of football a lot. I think he really helped me out with that. So those two guys have done a lot for me. I appreciate them, and I wish them the best at the next level.
Cedric, left side, almost towards the double doors. She's standing up just there.
Hey Cedric, Caitlin Schmidt from ESPN 730. You had 8 tackles, 1 sack at Pitt. You had, I believe, 11 tackles for Florida State. What was your favorite game from last year, and how do you want to improve on that game that's coming?
My favorite game, personally, for me, I would probably say it would be the Miami game. I had a TFL, about 6 tackles, an interception, and the game-winning interception. I think really just having that game-winner interception at an 8 o'clock game on ESPN under the lights, I mean, there was no feeling like that. So I would definitely say that was my favorite game from last year.
Cedric, last question from the podium on a lighter note. A little disappointed that Coach isn't on stage as I asked this question. We've seen Coach dance on Twitter, on YouTube. You guys have seen Coach dance up close and personal. Describe Coach's dance moves in one word.
Goofy.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's North Carolina, guys. Thanks for being with us today, and good luck this season.